the ceiling is higher with the Celtics than it is with the Miami Heat. I think similar to how, look, and doesn't mean that both teams can actually get to the Eastern Conference Finals and have a chance to win an NBA championship, right? Depending upon how they go about doing it. But it feels as if the redundancy that a lot of people thought existed with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, if Giannis goes to Miami, I see similarities of that redundancy with Bam Adebayo and then Giannis together, right? And how they're used because of their skill sets and the way they play. I see way more complementary basketball between Jason Tatum and Giannis. Both coaches are incredible, Eric Spoelstra, Joe, and how they do it. Obviously, Pat Riley, classic, one of the legendary people we have in the game. Brad Stevens, a genius basketball mind. But I like the complementary aspects of Jason Tatum with Giannis and the way Joe plays, making a slight change to that system with the way, yes, there's some questions for each franchise that they would have, but I think Joe would be pretty incredible with having Giannis and Jason together with the pieces. If Derek White's still there, you can surround him with the right pieces that can give you shooting, and they can give you the mid-range of Jason, the scoring of Jason with Giannis and the way he attacks. So I think the ceiling's higher with Boston.
Jake Fisher, who's been all over this story, by the way, as well, tweeting out just a couple minutes ago, there's a split faction of Milwaukee decision makers. They are deciding between Boston's package for Giannis, built around Jaylen Brown, where the Bucks also hold particular interest in Hugo Gonzalez, plus limited draft capital compared to Miami's offer of younger pieces featuring Tyler Hero and multiple first-round picks. To me, those two deals, I'm sorry, aren't close, even if you're getting first-round picks. And I know that Jaylen Brown makes a lot of money, Zoe, but you could also spin him off for more, I think, more assets than what you're getting from Miami. The only thing that I think could potentially hang that up would be that if Giannis doesn't want to sign an extension in Boston, and maybe he kind of forces his way to Miami that way. But if you're Milwaukee and those are your two offers, I don't know how Jaylen Brown isn't the one that you would select. So, again, I keep coming back to this. I think Giannis is going to be a Boston Celtic here in the next 24 hours.
Wow. I mean, that's the thing. It's the Brown hang-up, right? Do they want Brown or don't they? And they got to have a plan if they get him because, like you said, sell him and spin him off. But then all of a sudden he becomes a cast-off. I hate what's happening to Jaylen Brown. I really do. You can say, oh, well, then, he put himself in this position. No, he played his ass off for you this year.
He did.
And he liked doing that. And he said it, and you hold him accountable for it. Because he gave you the truth. I like being the one. It was my best year. Had fun. I did things that I didn't think I could do. Yeah, they didn't win the title. I get that. And title is obviously the number one thing here. Winning playoff games. And winning just even getting out of a series. But come on, man. Like that dude gave you everything. He did. And you're going to hold it against him because he enjoys being the one? At some point, you got to find out what you can and what you can't do. And he was doing one thing for 8 years, and now he did something different. He likes it. I respect him for it.
I mean, look, you have to give him credit for the year that he had. I would also say you kind of did the same thing back in the day to Isiah Thomas, did you not? And look, Isiah Thomas was hurt, but that was the guy that was the heart and soul of this organization. And as soon as a better player in Kyrie Irving came along, Danny Ainge packaged him up and shipped him out of town with a first-round pick to bring in the guy that he thought had a higher ceiling. And I think you're doing something similar to this with Jaylen Brown. It is similar,
but this is a much, much better guy than Isiah Thomas. This is a guy who was a Finals MVP. He won a championship here. He was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Better than Isiah Thomas.
No, definitely a better player than Isiah Thomas.
But
Isiah Thomas was that was the face of the franchise at the time, was it not?
Yeah, Danny shipped him off hurt. Yep, and went and got Kyrie Irving because that's the type of player he was.
That's a ruthless move, and again, this is not. Again, I also wonder too. Isiah Thomas didn't want to leave Boston at that point. I do wonder if Jaylen Brown wants out, and that's one of the reasons that we've gotten to this point. The biggest thing and the biggest difference that we've seen from last week to this week, in my mind, is the fact that Brian Windhorst is saying that Jaylen Brown's now on the table. And to me, Boston has been overly protective of the fact that they don't want it out there that they're offering up Jaylen Brown. Because I think if that gets out, you're nervous that Jaylen Brown's going to then be pissed off, not want to come back to Boston, and push his way out. The fact that it's out there and you're publicly saying that he's been offered up for Giannis, and even if he doesn't go in that Giannis trade, the Boston Celtics would be willing to move him, to me, tells you that the franchise is in a position where they're planning for life without Jaylen Brown. Because if you weren't, you would still sort of, I would think, be in a spot where you would want to deflect some of this stuff and kind of say, no, that's not that's not the case. We're not offering up Jaylen Brown in those deals. And the fact that they're not, and that Windhorst is coming out that boldly and saying that it's not just Giannis, but potentially other trades that he could be involved with if the Giannis thing doesn't come through, to me signals that there's clearly a breakdown between the organization and Jaylen Brown, and that his days in Boston are done. And that's going to be the big thing moving forward. So now what kind of package do you actually want for Jaylen Brown? Do you want Giannis coming back, or do you want picks, or do you want established starters and go for a team that, instead of building around 2 stars, has more depth? Or do you want the big two in Giannis and Tatum? And for me, I would rather have Giannis and Tatum than depth and just more pieces for those two. But I think that's the question now. I don't think it's Giannis or Jaylen Brown moving forward. So I think Jaylen Brown's done here in Boston.
Is there any way that this happens after the draft? It can, right?
I mean,
I don't want to understand the
sense of urgency.
Yes.
Well, Jimmy Haslam has been saying that he wants this deal done by the end of or before the draft, and then Shams comes out today and says that it's going to be done before the draft. So, is there a sense of urgency, or is there a reason that it has to be done? I mean, technically, it doesn't have to be, but they put a timeline on it, and according to Shams, they're going to stick to that. So, I don't think there's any reason to believe it's going to go past this. I did think at the end of last week that was potentially on the table here. And I guess if you're trading for Jaylen Brown and you're not worried about the 13th pick, you can continue to push this thing off a little bit. But no, it sounds like the next 24 hours it's going to happen. I don't see a scenario now, Zoe, where you could actually bring Jaylen Brown back to Boston.
You damage it. You
Yeah.
damage the relationship. Yeah, but I mean, that's part of it too. Like, you've got to be able to mend that if you can't. Like, you got to be adults here in the room. Just because you piss him off one time doesn't mean, like, oh, we definitely have to move him now. But you got to think. I don't think he's the type of guy that would hold the team, wouldn't hijack the team, so to speak. Hold him hijack. It's just,
you don't think he would check out?
No,
Yeah.
I don't. No, because he's got too much pride. That's how he plays. I mean, that's one thing that you respect about those two. No matter how much you might dislike each other, they play together for the betterment of the team. They bust their ass. So,
if it's Giannis coming to Boston and he's paired with Jason Tatum, and it's the same supporting cast around those two guys, so in terms of the pieces that we're accustomed to, and I'll say Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, maybe you bring in another big. Do you think that team right there, Zoe, if healthy, is better than the Knicks?
Depends what type of big you bring in. If it's just a random big and he's going to stand outside and you're going to run your spread 5 again, no, you're not going to beat the Knicks. You need somebody to get in there and muck it up a little bit. Like you said, hopefully Giannis will go inside more. But who's bringing the ball up? Who's going to be the point guard? Who's going to handle the ball up court? Giannis likes to handle the ball. Who's going to be the one? Who's going to be the two? You got a lot of things to think about. Your team will be different, but it might not be that much different. Because Brown's a productive guy. Brown still could play. He still could score. Might not be the perfect shooter or dribbler, but he can still score.
We have an update from Windhorst as well.
Wow.
With this quote. Windhorst on if Jaylen Brown would want to be in Milwaukee should he be traded. Quote, Jaylen Brown is accepting this and realizing this is a chance to turn the page in his career and that he may be getting his own team, which is something that he has thought about for some time.
Wow. So what's happening then? Good. Let's go. Can't wait to see where he goes.
Still think it's not happening?
I don't know at this point. Yeah, it's happening.
It's happening.
Wonder what team Zoe's going to have to be a fan of now.
I know we're getting
Wherever Jaylen Brown goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I would just say if you're Jaylen Brown, and I know you had a lot of success last year, having your own team with a franchise that isn't as structured as Boston, I think that's going to be a different challenge. Don't you?
Sure.
Don't you think there are levels to that?
Yeah. Like, who runs it out in L.A.? Is it LeBron or the coach? It's LeBron. It was interesting to see how that team's going to be when he leaves.
And look, if you're the number one, you certainly do have control over, I think, the overall atmosphere. You absolutely play a part in that. No question about it. So if Milwaukee was dysfunctional last year because Giannis was late to the plane and all the stories that we've heard, he certainly contributes to what was a toxic situation. I understand that. And if Jaylen Brown brings a level of professionalism into that organization, does it change and is it not as dysfunctional? Sure. I also think ownership, the coach, the GM, how they handle things plays a huge role in whether you're accepting of some of the antics that you've seen as well. And so, if you're going to a franchise that isn't as buttoned up as Boston is, I wonder if some of the issues that you didn't encounter last year suddenly present themselves if you're that number one in Jaylen Brown. Now, I'm not saying that a number one can't completely tank. That you saw what Kyrie did in Boston. That was a place that, again, for the time that Paul Pierce and KG were there, through those bridgy Celtics, had unbelievable culture and something that they hang their hat on. Kyrie comes in and tanks it in a season, right? 2018, he plays like an MVP, gets hurt, comes back in 2019, and post him saying that he wants to spend the rest of his career here was a bitch the whole time, and by the end of it, you wanted that guy gone.
Yeah.
You wanted no part of him. So I guess the number one does have sort of a say in terms of the way that things can go and can tank it for sure. But I also think the state of the organization plays a huge role in that. And that's why I think the gamble with Giannis, who hasn't really been a problem until this past year when it really went off the rails there in Milwaukee, to me, it's betting on a guy that you have identified as someone that's going to bounce back and be a professional, especially in the culture that you have in Boston. He's highlighted that he likes the way that Mazzulla coaches. He likes the culture that they built there in Boston. And if you have a guy that's coming in, that's a top 5 player in the NBA, that's bought into the way that things are done in Boston, and is moving off of a toxic situation in Milwaukee, I would have every reason to believe that that guy's not going to be an issue the way that you encountered with Kyrie Irving. That would just be my take on that situation. 617-779-0985. We'll get your take on the Giannis situation coming up next on Zolak and Bertrand.
So,
Why do you think people listen to?
Beetle,
He's got a big...
Zolak and Bertrand, the Sports Hub.
Easiest job in sports is being one of Giannis's brothers. You can suck and get to sit at the end of the NBA bench. Fair point.
Good point.
You think the Celtics are going to bring in his brothers
Nope.
if they do this deal? I'm with you. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's going to have to
you
be a
look pathetic if you
conversation. Yeah, I don't think you can do that if you're Boston. You have to bring that to an end. 617-779-0985. Mark is in Maynard. Mark.
Hey, I completely agree with Zoe, and I think this question, or the answer to this question, is going to prove it. Who was more responsible for the Celtics winning that championship?
Brown.
The answer is Brown. It's simple, So why aren't we thinking about blowing out Tatum? One guy did it, the other guy didn't do it. He played good, but he didn't deserve the MVP, and he wasn't the number one player on that championship team. Secondly, question, is Mazzulla going to hold the plane for 2 hours for Giannis? I think not. Go ahead, guys.
Tim?
He's not going to hold the plane for Giannis for 2 hours.
There's no chance that Tatum's part of this still, right?
No.
I know that too.
No.
Come on.
Not going to happen.
But like we were talking this during the break too. Like it doesn't seem like people are over the top for Giannis. Like people are over the top for AJ Brown. Like, and you were talking about it. AJ Brown's better than anything you had. It's such a change at receiver. You're actually giving up a good player in Brown to go get a good player in Giannis. Like that's the exchange here. You're losing Brown, but you get Giannis. Might be a little bit better. AJ Brown is a little bit better than what you have. He's a lot better.
Well, this
That's
look
the difference. Like,
even if you're a Celtics fan, and even if you want Giannis here, it does suck that you're giving up a homegrown guy that won a Finals MVP and won a championship for you, right?
Yep.
Like, there's reason to be upset there and say, like, man, that sucks. Like Jaylen Brown, that there's a guy that's been with the organization for 10 years, like you said. Won a Finals MVP.
Plays hard.
Won a championship.
what's he ever done wrong?
And you're moving off of him.
Yep.
So, yeah, I can understand why even if you want to bring in Giannis, it's a situation that you look at and go, man, this kind of sucks that that's what you have to give up. Will is in Phoenix. Will.
Yeah, hi, guys.
Hey, Will.
You say that when Giannis comes into Boston, he's going to be the face of the Celtics. Do you think Jason's okay with that? I personally don't think so.
I would think he would have to be because Giannis is better than him. He's a better player. He felt he was better than Brown, and that's the way he was caught. That's why he's put on a pedestal. So he believes that. He'd have to check his ego a little to bring this guy in.
Yeah, I also don't know, like, I just saying you're going to be like the face of the franchise. I don't necessarily know.
You don't say it in general.
Yeah, but I also don't know, like, how that plays out. Like, if you go back to the big three, like, who was the best player on that team?
Garnett.
And who was the face of the franchise, though?
It was Paul. Yeah.
Pierce, right? So, like, I do think that those two things can kind of coexist where Jason Tatum can sort of be the face of the Celtics, but maybe Giannis is the best player on that team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like, I think there's certain situations where that kind of plays out, and I think 08 was kind of one of those situations. Rich is in Rhode Island. Rich.
Hey, guys. Hey, I don't think Jaylen Brown's that great a dribbler. Do you, Zoe?
No.
For one.
No,
and secondly, I wonder how Beatle's thinking about Devers and Bregman now. Thanks, guys.
Oh, take a shot at Beetle while he's not here, huh?
Did you see the Rafael Devers stuff over the weekend,
Yeah,
Zoe?
a little bit.
And look.
Would you go get him?
No, I would not bring him in. And
You like watching this crap that's here.
Well, look, I jumped on the bandwagon and I defended Rafael Devers with everything that took place last year. And even though he didn't want to, and look, if the team wants you to play a different position, you absolutely should go play that position. I understand that. But the lack of communication leading up to Alex Bregman coming to Boston, I thought you put squarely on Craig Breslow. Again, this is a guy that we're talking about needing potentially an interpreter, right, to have conversations with people. So the fact that you have a superstar player in Rafael Devers who thinks he's going to be the third baseman, you kind of tell him he's going to be the third baseman, then sign Alex Bregman, then move him, and he gets pissed off. I was understanding of why Rafael Devers would kind of feel slighted in that situation and how he should have been treated differently by the organization. And that if they had actually had conversations with him leading up into spring training, maybe he would have been more open to actually playing first base instead of what you got, which was just a disgruntled superstar. I understand that. Now, having said that, T-Bone, watching him yesterday try to refuse the pinch runner that came out and try to wave him back into the dugout and try to show up your manager the way that Rafael Devers tried to do in San Francisco does give me a little bit of pause and think, you know what, maybe he was a bit of an issue in that final season there in Boston, and maybe it's not 100% on Craig Breslow and company. I'm still going to give the majority of the blame to Craig Breslow and the way that that thing was handled, and that he probably could have smoothed things out a little bit better. But I'm not going to deny that Rafael Devers is a huge problem because that was an absolute clown show yesterday with what he tried to do.
Yeah, maybe that whole not playing first base thing was a little bit more on him than we thought.
Right? Like, you know what? I do think the communication could have been better, but yeah, to think that this
Could it have been?
Yes, the communication definitely could have been better with Devers. Having said that, to watch, again, a star player try to wave off a pinch runner that's coming in, and I feel bad for the dude that was coming in a pinch run for him because he gets to first base, by the way, and then he kind of does a double take and is like, wait, should I go back in? Can you clear? What am I supposed to do here? Uncomfortable situation.
He only left because it looked like the ump was about to intervene.
Yeah, like all right, let's do it. So then finally Devers walks off and makes a scene, but to try to show up your manager like that and then not talk post game. You did see the manager come out and give a statement saying that I'd rather have a guy that you have to rip off the field than one that's willing to do it, which is a good cover. But, like, come on, man. That's a joke. That's a joke.
That's probably the end of the college manager jumping up to the pros experiment.
Yeah, it really hasn't translated the way that I think a lot of people thought it was going to, for sure. But, yeah, I mean, there's not many situations there where you're justified in refusing to come off the field there. That's a wild move by Devers.
Fat guy, get off the field. You're getting fast guy in.
Yeah.
All that being said, I'd still love him on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elliot's in Boston. Elliot, what's up?
Tim, talking about the Celtics, we've come a long way since debating Marcus Smart or Julius Randle in that draft.
Oh, my God. Yes. That's why that show got canceled. Yeah.
What show?
Because of us two debating that draft. But listen, when it comes to Giannis, I mean, there's a couple things that can be true, right? Trading Brown, can hurt. Danny Ainge getting, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum right in those drafts is forever going to be cemented. But I want to just remind, NBA watchers that, Giannis is a better basketball player than Jaylen. And, I'm not sure why there's so much negativity around the acquisition of someone like Giannis. I know it's, age and injury history, but the only reason why Giannis is available is because not only has Milwaukee done such a terrible job building around him, but because of the potential injury history, because if he didn't have that calf issue, you wouldn't even be talking about getting him. So, when it comes to, Giannis, it's Giannis over Brown, and I just don't think it's even close.
I'm with you on that. You're talking about Jaylen Brown and Giannis at their two peaks. Giannis is clearly the better player. It's just what are you
calling Giannis at his peak right now?
Well, that's that. Well, right. No, but that's the question that you have to ask, right?
I said that. I said he'd be the one coming in. Yeah. Tatum would have to take a back seat to him. Yeah, we confer.
Kenny is in Methuen. Kenny.
Quick question for y'all.
Yeah.
If it was like a starting pitcher instead of Rafi being on first base, would you guys care?
No, it's Rafael Devers. It's Devers.
But you've seen other pitchers out there get, hey, give me the ball, you're out of here, and then they do a little dog and pony show, I want to stay out there. Why is it a big deal that it was Rafi?
You don't think yesterday was a big deal with Rafael Devers?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sorry. That's crazy.
Defiance.
I get the point, but it's a different situation with this.
I don't know how you can look at that.
He's slow.
And a clear sort of defiance with the manager and what the manager is trying to do there and say that that's not an issue. It was childish by Rafael Devers yesterday. It was pathetic. 617.
I think he ended up getting doubled off the next play, too.
Did he really? Yeah. 617-779-0985 is your telephone number. I'll get you caught up on Hub Headlines, the latest on the Giannis sweepstakes. So you guys lined up. Wanted to talk Giannis as well. We'll get into some Patriot stuff, too. Brian Hoyer with his QB rankings. Drake May, surprisingly high. And that's coming from a guy that has Drake May high in his own QB rankings. But Hoyer taking it to another level. We'll get to that next year on Zolak and Bertrand.
Zoe and Beetle are back with more on the Sports Hub.
So Brian Hoyer was on.
Well, producers don't do anything, according to you.
I didn't say that.
It was an open-ended question.
I just said it's an easy job. I didn't say you don't do anything. There's a lot of easy jobs that people do a lot.
Do you want to switch spots?
No, because I know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm doing back there. I don't know all those shiny buttons and stuff. It's like Dennis. I make fun of Dennis all the time. He's got a hard job. But it's easy what he does. They do set up and turn it on. We're the ones that talk.
Brian Hoyer was talking on Sirius XM. He gave his list of top
Speaking
5
of talkers,
quarterbacks, right?
Who talks more, Brian Hoyer or Matt Chatham?
You ready for his top 5?
Yeah.
He had Matthew Stafford at number 1.
Good one.
Drake May, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and then Lamar Jackson closed out his list.
Feels to me like Lamar Jackson's always the 5th thrown in.
Had a tie at 5
Why is that?
with Joe Burrow. He says, quote, "The reason I go with Drake second is not only what he did last year, but what I'm hearing coming out of Patriots camp right now."
It's Josh.
A.J. Brown was talking about Drake taking over the meeting room. I was in a room with a guy who did that every day in Tom Brady, and when a quarterback takes ownership like that, it can take it to the next level.
Yep. Okay, so he's gambling on what he knows in the history with Josh and a relationship he has with the quarterbacks, how he puts him in good situations. I don't disagree with that. Why does Lamar Jackson always get thrown in as the 4th or 5th guy?
He's coming off a bad year.
What the
right?
hell is he?
Relative
year.
What
has he ever done? Seriously.
Oh, in the postseason?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Josh, I guess you could say the same thing with Josh Allen. But they've got close. Like, he carries teams in the playoffs, Josh. And then he also has critical errors and throws that they kill his team, like he did in Denver. Like that stupid play where he threw the ball backwards. That was ridiculous. But I would take Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson any day. Same with Mahomes. Take those guys over him.
What about Drake May?
I'd put May ahead of Jackson, and I would put Burrow ahead of Jackson. I'd put Jackson 6th or 7th. But somehow he always manages to get in that top 5. Would you take Dak or would you take Jackson?
Jackson.
Wow, really?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, the throwing offense, you would take him.
I mean, I think you'd have to build your offense around Lamar Jackson, but you've seen he's a multiple-time MVP.
I would take Dak.
Would you really?
I think Dak could spread it and throw it, yeah.
Okay.
But he has good talent around him.
Yeah. No, look, they both do. What about Drake May, though, with A.J. Brown, and what Hoyer says there in terms of what he's hearing coming out of Foxborough?
Well, I mean, I think it's also a sort of a shot at where A.J. came from. You know, if you're in Philly and your guy's not doing that, now you come here and you see, wow, this is how quarterbacks act in meetings. Oh, this is something different here. That can be built in, too, taking a shot at Philly where I was with Jalen Hurts. So be careful of that. That's what I would want.
I'll tell you what, though. You're talking about a guy that we talk about maybe being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. If he takes the jump to being number 2 in the league, and you're walking away from a draft.
Well, he was a backup. He was a runner-up MVP.
He was?
Yeah.
He was. But
by 1 vote.
You walk away from the draft where you have the 3rd pick, a franchise that looked like they were desperately looking for a franchise quarterback, and you wind up getting potentially the 2nd best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Man, you hit the lottery again.
They did hit the lottery with him. You got to protect him, though. That's interesting. That's the biggest part here. Like, we can talk about receivers all you want. That line's got to be solid in front of him. It really does. And he's got to help them.
617-779-0985. Mixing the Patriots there as well. But see you guys lined up wanting to talk Giannis. Mike is in Norwood. Mike.
Hey, what's up, fellas? How's it going?
Good.
Hey, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Just a quick thing. This whole Giannis to Boston thing, I'm all for it. I love Jaylen Brown. I want Giannis here. But the thing that everybody is just getting mixed up is this is still Tatum's team. In the finals, he led the team in points, rebounds, and assists. He's one of 6 players since the NBA has started in the StatCast to lead his team in all 3 of those categories. He is the one. He's the better all-around player, better passer, better shooter. This is his team. Giannis is coming here to play with him. They are going to win multiple titles. Good luck. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Multiple titles. Heather's in Wayland. Wants to talk Giannis trade. Heather.
Hi. Just to kind of piggyback on what he was saying, I think the optimism is great from you all about bringing, the superstar here, and it could be really good for the team. But I think what we're underestimating is the egos that come with these big stars. I think the team has worked really well for a while. Even, Tatum happy to step back, like when he had his injury and let Brown be the star. He could do it when he was injured, but I don't think he's going to do it letting an outsider come in and try to run this team. And I just, I fear that we're going to kind of ruin this symbiotic relationship we've got going because you've got one star coming in thinking they're going to be something and the other rest of the team doesn't. So just interested what you guys think because, I know these players, they come with egos, and I just don't know if it'll work.
Look, that's a real concern, and I think that there's an organization that has seen it blow up in their face in terms of a superstar that has an ego. The Celtics are right at the top of the list because they brought in Kyrie Irving, and you thought that you had a championship team around him, and you thought you were going to compete for a championship. Remember, you have Tatum and Brown coming off that Eastern Conference Finals run, and you think that you're adding Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving back into the mix, healthy, coming off of injury-shortened seasons in 2018. And 2019 winds up being a complete disaster, completely melts down to the point where then Al Horford walks out the door and signs as a free agent in Philadelphia, wants no part of that locker room. And it felt like it kind of went off the rails there because of Kyrie Irving. So you've seen that before. I would also say, though, even though Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum has worked in the past, I wonder if it's at a point now where it's not going to be able to work anymore. And that's another reason why we're at the point where we are. And did this past season with Jaylen Brown being the number 1 for the Boston Celtics change that dynamic? And does he not want to take a back seat moving forward? And is it hard to give back the keys to the car after you had it for a full season and say, all right, Jason Tatum, you're now the guy, and I'll go back to the role that I normally play? And if that's the case, is it not only being pushed by the fact that the Celtics are in on Giannis, but also being pushed by the fact that Jaylen Brown is ready to be the number 1 on his own team? And have they just kind of outgrown that relationship? And does he no longer want to be Robin to the Batman for Jason Tatum in the way that it's viewed? And I think that's a real conversation too. So while there's risk with Giannis being brought in, because I think there's risk when you acquire any superstar like that, and is there gonna be a change in sort of the culture with Boston? Fair concern, right? Especially coming off of some of the stuff that we heard from Miles Turner just a few weeks ago with the way that Giannis acted in Milwaukee. But I think there's also concerns about whether or not the two Jays are going to be able to coexist moving forward anymore. And you just heard what Windhorst said about Jaylen Brown accepting the fact and being excited about potentially having his own team moving forward too. And so is it not just the Celtics wanting to move off of this? Is this Jaylen Brown ready to walk out the door and have his own team? I think that's a conversation you have to have too. So I think those are two things at play here. Two things at play.
Yeah.
617-779-0985. See you guys lined up. Continuing to want to talk Giannis. We're still waiting. I promised Zoe a trade was going to take place. It hasn't happened yet. A lot of smoke around this thing. Shams saying that Giannis is going to be dealt by the before the first round tomorrow night of the NBA draft. We'll continue the conversation next year on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Now that Jaylen Brown's on the table officially, is it safe to say whether he goes and gets traded in this deal or if the Bucks end up going with the Heat deal that the Celtics are probably going to move Jaylen Brown now just because his name's out there? He might not like the fact that he's being shopped. What is the situation there if the Celtics don't get the Giannis trade?
Everyone around the league, BC, is going to be talking about this. If this deal does not get done for the Celtics, it's what is the future of Jaylen Brown? The thing the Celtics do have, though, and Jaylen Brown knows this, is he's got multiple years left on his deal. To just trade a player like that, you see what Brad Stevens has done. To my knowledge, they're not shopping Jaylen Brown. This is a very specific situation, and this is now twice in 4 years where the Celtics have offered Jaylen Brown in a major trade for a future Hall of Famer. In 2022, they offered him as well as other pieces for Kevin Durant. They missed on that. Now they're going after Giannis, and they've put Jaylen Brown on the table. And, it's a situation where they have a clear goal. They feel like they're going to be upgrading their team. Now, if you miss out on Giannis, what trades are out there where you can realistically say we are upgrading our team?
Yeah, right over there.
That wasn't me, buddy. That was you.
No, that's definitely not me.
Oh.
You got it?
All right.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
I like that song.
Yeah?
So I turned it up.
During the break, Louth revealed himself to be
What a pathetic... He's not a leader.
The world's largest lunchbox.
Quietly, he's the one that brought the world's largest lunchbox in. Yeah. The size of a suitcase. You saw it. It's a thermal suitcase with frozen packs in it. Why does he put it in the fridge?
I've never seen a lunchbox on wheels.
It's a carry-on, yeah.
He has two of them.
Carry-on lunchbox.
To do what?
He says there's no frozen packs in there.
Well, why do you even put it in the fridge? Who puts suitcases in fridges? I was not raised that way.
He actually had to take out shelves in the fridge in order to put the lunchbox in.
Shelf.
Yes.
It's like there's some hack Celtic case in there that somebody went and bought. Oh, I'm a Celtics fan. You know, like an adult with the Celtics brief.
I got one guess who that belongs to.
I have no clue. Celtics who? Is that Louth too?
It's got to be Stu.
Is it Jay Stu?
Oh,
no, Jay Stu never brings his lunch. He's always bringing it in. I always see Jay Stu carry the bag.
It's true.
That's not Jay Stu. No way.
You heard Shams there with the latest on Pat McAfee. Kevin O'Connor reporting right now, too, that the Bucks want to remain competitive next season. They're open to keeping Jaylen Brown on their roster as well. So more information continues to trickle in. I do think it's interesting, and it's an interesting conversation that Shams just had there, where if this does fall apart and you're talking about Jaylen Brown moving off of Boston and the Windhorst stuff where he could be offered up in a similar trade, I don't know what other package there could be where your championship window is remaining open to the level that it would be if he was just on the roster. But I do think that you might have painted yourself into a corner here. Where is he going to be happy and willing to come back if now for the second time in 4 years, like Shams just said, he now knows that you offered him up in trades.
Yeah.
So it's a sticky situation, and I think, again, that's why this Giannis deal is going to get done, because I don't think you're going to get this far down the road if you're Brad Stevens and the Celtics and then back out of it. I just don't see that happening. Connor is on the road, wants to talk Giannis. Connor, what's up?
Hey, I just kind of disagree with like the last caller being talking about like the idea of Giannis and Tatum coexisting, and the reason being is Tatum just kind of shared 9 years of his career with Jaylen, who is a me and then you type player, where Tatum is a me or you type player. And with the thing with Giannis, it's like they're close. You know, they've been closely knitted with the All-Star game. You know, Giannis picked Tatum first in like those drafts, and I think this whole trade is going down with Brad Stevens making sure Jason Tatum is okay with this happening, because you don't trade Jaylen Brown without contacting or talking to the franchise player. Thanks.
Brad thought, checked everything was okay with Jason before he.
You don't think they had a conversation, though? They definitely did. You're going to trade Jaylen Brown if Jason Tatum wants him on the team and is going to the mat for Jaylen Brown?
Sounds like he really is going.
No, I don't think he is. I think that's kind of the caller's point right there.
Thank you. Make my point.
John is in Franklin. John.
Hey, guys. So I called last week, and I said you have to be mentally ill if you don't want Giannis on this team, and I still stand by that. And I just want to expand on that a little bit. But so, listen, we've had the two Jays for, 8 or 9 years. We drafted them, and it has been an absolute success. You won a championship. You went to another finals. You went to a bunch of Eastern Conference finals. Like, you have squeezed as much lemon, or you know what I mean, juice out of that lemon, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. And honestly, I don't understand these people that are worried about injuries with Giannis, because do we really think the Celtics are going to play this guy 82 games? No. They're going to play him 50 to 60 games. They're going to hold him out with like a hangnail or some bogus injury to keep him, fresh for the playoffs. And when Giannis is right, when he's healthy, when he's motivated, all that, he is literally the number 1 or number 2 best player in the league. So it's like, what are we talking about here? Like, the two Jays, we're not talking about Jordan and Pippen here, for crying out loud. They won a championship. We drafted them. We won the deal, if you understand what I'm saying. Let's move on. Let's try something else. And honestly, I don't know what else there is to say. Thanks, guys.
You won the deal. What deal? What deal did you win?
If you make this trade, though, right? Bill Simmons, sorry, I'm distracted.
But you have to win. You have to win, right? You have to win. You got to win the whole thing, or you didn't win the deal.
Yeah, and I think that's on the table. Don't you think they're closer to winning a championship with Giannis on the roster than Jaylen Brown? I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are. Bill Simmons just tweeting this out. The Celtics-Giannis situation didn't change at all over the last 36 hours, FYI. Nothing is different. They made a real offer 2 weeks ago, as I repeatedly told you on my podcast, and it's been a staring contest ever since. Okay. But I don't think it's resolved today or tomorrow morning.
Bingo.
Oh, excuse me. I do think it's getting resolved today or tomorrow morning. Good job. Good job, Tim. Completely butchering that last line. It is going to get resolved today or tomorrow morning. We're going to have a final word on the Giannis landing spot coming up here. Again, if Jaylen Brown's on the table, though, I don't know how Miami matches that, especially if you're hearing now that Milwaukee's cool with running it back, like Kevin O'Connor just said, with Jaylen Brown being the number 1. Because there's nothing that Miami can offer that can sniff that right now. So if he's willing to sign an extension,
right? Go ahead.
If he's willing to sign an extension with the Boston Celtics, which now reportedly he's open with either Miami or Boston to sign. I don't know how Milwaukee looks at those two packages and says that Miami's offering something better, because they're not. That's why I think Giannis is going to be a Boston Celtic. I think Jaylen Brown has played his last game for the Celtics. I think that's what you're looking at now. And now you're building around Giannis and Jason Tatum moving forward. We'll see how that plays out. 617-779-0985. Big day for the Boston Celtics. We also have World Cup. You've been following the World Cup at all? Have you come over with everything that's been going on? Have you caught the fever at all?
No. I mean, I enjoy watching the Scots and the Tartan Army and that. Like, I'll watch them and maybe the U.S. if the U.S. plays, but you tell me next time they play. I'm not watching neutral. Yeah.
All right. Red Sox on the table. We talked some Pats as well. We'll get to more of your phone calls after Hub Headlines.